How does one of the most high-profile prisoners in the world end up alone in a cell with broken cameras, exhausted guards, and missed safety checks? And why, years later, are people still arguing over the same three possibilities? Is he alive? Was he murdered? Or did desperation meet a broken system at the worst possible moment? Tonight, we are not here to tell you what to believe. We are here to walk through the exact questions millions of people are already asking and test them against logic, psychology, and verified reporting. Hello, welcome back to Smart AF, the show where we cut through the noise and give you the facts, straight up. Let us start with the question at the center of everything. How could a prisoner this high profile be left in a situation that looked so unprotected? Independent investigations later described the night of Epstein's death as a perfect storm of failures. Staff shortages, guards working extreme overtime, missed safety checks, and surveillance systems that were not functioning properly. Inside complex institutions, risk rarely comes from one dramatic decision. It builds slowly, through tolerated shortcuts, exhaustion, and blurred accountability. From the outside, it can look intentional. From the inside, it often looks like a system quietly breaking down. And that is where doubt begins. Because when systems fail this badly, people stop asking whether it was incompetence and start asking whether it was opportunity. So let us walk through the theories people talk about the most. First, the idea that he could still be alive. Some imagine private planes, hidden allies, plastic surgery, private medical care, or a quiet life somewhere far from scrutiny, a private island, a remote country, or a circle of powerful friends willing to protect him. On the surface, that sounds plausible. He had wealth, he had connections, he had access. But disappearing is not just a dramatic escape moment, it is a long-term system. To remain alive and hidden for years, there would need to be no credible sightings, no financial traces, no leaks from anyone involved, and no biometric detection in a world filled with surveillance and digital records. The more layers added to the story, secret doctors, surgeries, hidden locations, the more points where silence would have to remain perfect. And history shows that perfect silence is extremely rare. Now the darker theory. What if he was murdered? Many people feel that someone might have benefited more from his silence than from a public trial. He moved in elite circles. He knew powerful people. And to some observers, the failures inside the prison do not look random. They look like opportunity. Motive is easy to imagine, but motive alone is not proof. Some independent forensic experts questioned whether certain neck fractures could suggest strangulation. Others pointed out that similar injuries can occur in hangings, especially in older individuals. Disagreement existed, but no official investigation concluded homicide. Then comes the explanation many people resist hearing. What if he really did take his own life out of desperation? Weeks before his death, Epstein had already been placed on suicide watch after an earlier incident, a decision that later raised serious questions about why those precautions were lifted. At the time, he was facing the possibility of spending the rest of his life in prison. His influence was collapsing. His future was narrowing rapidly. For some individuals, the sudden loss of control can create intense psychological pressure. This possibility does not excuse the failures around him. If anything, it highlights them. Because safeguards were supposed to exist precisely to prevent that outcome. Another question people ask is, why not release public DNA testing to shut down speculation? But forensic identification already relies on multiple methods: dental records, fingerprints, visual identification, and documented custody chains. Legal systems are not designed to repeat medical testing simply to address public doubt. And even when new information is released, history shows that broken trust does not automatically disappear. There is also a deeper question many people ask: why should the public trust official conclusions at all, especially when institutions have made mistakes or withheld information in other cases? That skepticism is understandable. Trust is not automatic, it is earned. But here is where probability matters more than possibility. Yes, it is possible for official records to be flawed. History shows that investigations can be incomplete or influenced by human error. But for the official conclusion about Epstein's death to be entirely fabricated, multiple independent systems would need to fail together. Medical professionals, investigators, watchdog agencies, and years of reporting would all have to miss or suppress verifiable contradictions. The larger the claim becomes, the more coordinated silence would be required. So the real question is not, could officials be wrong? It is, what evidence exists that the official record is false? And how strong is that evidence compared to the documentation supporting it? Because skepticism is strongest when it demands proof from all sides. So after all these questions, all these theories, all these possibilities, where does that leave us? We explored the idea that he could still be alive, hidden by wealth, protected by loyal allies, perhaps living somewhere far from scrutiny. We examined the darker theory that he was murdered, that someone decided silence was safer than a courtroom. And we faced the uncomfortable possibility that desperation, loss of control, and institutional failure could explain what happened without a grand conspiracy at all. Here's the twist most people do not expect. The explanation supported by the most evidence is often the least dramatic one. Federal investigators reviewed thousands of documents and interviews. They confirmed catastrophic negligence, missed safeguards, and a system that failed when it mattered most. What they did not confirm was a secret escape or verified forensic proof of homicide. Maybe the real question was never, is he alive? Or, was he murdered? Maybe the real question is this: what happens to public trust when the truth sounds less believable than the theories? Because sometimes the most unsettling ending is not a conspiracy. It is the possibility that nobody was truly in control. That's it for today's episode of Smart AF. And remember, making informed decisions is your right. So before you believe the hype, get Smart AF. Thanks for listening. If you know someone who needs this info, please share this video with them. If you found this interesting, a thumbs up and subscribe would mean a lot. And tap the bell so you never miss an update.